Good evening and welcome to another scene in the living world of darkness with Camarilla and our venue. Tonight we have a new face. We will start with this, well, recently arrived person who has just gotten into town and is not having the best time of it. Well, we'll see what happens.
Benjamin will, uh, depending on what time of night it is, if it's early night, he will be walking the streets trying to find the best place to keep himself hidden for a few hours before he has to feed. So he is sticking to the back alleys and the shadows and the less hospitable parts of New York because he figures that that's the places that are going to be the easiest to hide. Um, he is getting a feel for the city, taking note of landmarks and shortcuts and things like that, trying to find out what this place is and how to navigate in it.
Hmm. And while he is keeping out of sight, um, can you make me a perception alertness roll?
Yes, I can. Perception, alertness, 5 dice. Does my do my acute senses come into play here?
For the moment, no. But,
Okay,
well, it depends.
fair enough.
As you're walking around, you feel as though, I mean, it's not like there are anyone like paying close attention to you. Um, there is a rather well-dressed man at one point as you're going from one alley to the other. He seems a bit out of place, but he's to begin with, he just seems to go into the alley, look a bit around. He's looking your way, but he just kind of continues on and goes on to the main street. But you'll notice that, like, that's not, you would not think that that would be a guy who would walk around back alleys, but that's about it.
Mm. Benjamin at the moment is not in a place where he's going to draw attention to himself. So while he does think that it's rather strange to see one of the halves in a place like this, he's not going to make an issue out of it. Just he's going to find it a bit suspicious, maybe. So he's going to take extra steps to try to stay hidden from him.
Hmm. Tell me, is Benjamin hungry?
He started the scene with 3 and he has 2 hurt, but for the sake of, so he's at 5 blood, but for the sake of plot advancement, we can say that he already used a couple of points.
Fair enough. You're not moving that long until you'll find there are some homeless people here. It's New York.
Yeah,
It's not that hard to find.
and one of them is looking particularly tasty. So Benjamin hides in hides in the shadow of a corner, and when one of those poor, unsuspecting chaps come to relieve themselves, to put it like that, he will use his dexterity stealth to go all in.
One of them is stinks of booze. I don't think. I mean, you just need to. You can drink from him. You don't even need to roll. He's probably not gonna remember that he's been grabbed or like touched. I mean, he's gone. He's out of it.
And he's so drunk anyway that people wouldn't believe him.
It's not going to be hard for you to get a hold of him and drink from him.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna do that, and he's gonna drink. He's gonna drink. How much is it that you can safely take from a human without risking them dying?
Normally it's 2 blood points. I
Okay.
mean, these are not the freshest people, but
Well, and restraint probably isn't the first thing that that Benjamin, given his background, would have been taught. So he's going to take 3. Um, and once he's finished, he closes the wound, and actually does take care to position the poor. I'm guessing that he's not feeling extremely well at the moment.
he gets a bit wobbly,
Yeah.
more so than before.
No, he's puts the homeless guy down in a sitting position and heads off back into the shadow, somewhat more refreshed than he was before.
You'll go along and yeah, after a little bit. What does Benjamin like? It's only been a couple of days, but what does he normally do when he tries to
Um,
get?
well, mostly he tries to stay hidden because he knows that he's not. He has made some enemies. So he is trying to stay out of sight. Interacting as little as possible. He does have a small group that he met on his first day that he like can retreat to if he needs to, but otherwise he tries to stay out of sight as much as possible. So he would once he is fairly full, he will head he will search the back alleys and the streets of New York uh, a for a secluded hiding place, one that is also safe from the sun's light.
As you move in, but you actually this tonight you're lucky. There's this semi. Well, it's abandoned somewhat. There's activity in some of the building, but another part of the building is unlocked and it's seemingly not being used. And probably there's someone who's been sleeping there
Mm,
recently, like yourself.
mm,
But as you're getting that, and you can probably find a good spot here where there won't be any sun.
mm,
You begin to like it's not like you hearing something, but it's almost like you're feeling something, and like there's a tingling in the back of your head, and it's sort of like washing over your head, but there's really like no wind, but it's kind of weird, and it it seems to take a while, but then again, it's fairly fast,
mm.
and it forms into a question. Um, uh, it's just this almost like a voice or someone else's thoughts comes into your head, and it's just asks something, and which you think of the answer to almost immediately. It will just say, "Why have you come here?" And your immediate is like it's not like you think of it, but you notice how weird it is. But the word, the notion that just comes in your mind is escape,
Mm.
running, escape, something like that.
Yeah,
That sense is what just seems to be plucked from your mind, so to say.
mm.
Hmm.
And when he had that experience, Benjamin would freeze in place a little bit, then look around. Also, obviously, he has obfuscated himself, but he is so new that he probably wouldn't know the more advanced forms of it. So he will look around and think, "What? Who's there?"
A little while passes, and you'll again feel this notion. Um, you'll just again hear this like it's coming from the back of your mind and slowly, and then again it feels also fairly fast. It's a weird sensation. that just
Mm.
flushes over your head, almost into your head. That is just someone who is an intentional friend. That is, but that's just the thoughts that are almost projected into your mind.
He nods, and he does seem a little bit more at ease. But he also knows that there are a lot of things that he don't know, and the pack might have some tricks up their sleeves that he doesn't know about. So he's not completely at ease, but the the notion that it is a possible friend does seem to calm him a little bit. And then he says,
You will just like before you begin to say anything, you'll get this thing into your mind. It's just it is just a question. I should actually roll for it because yeah, I should probably roll for it. And he passes, so it's not. He will. Another question will just um, echo into your mind. It will just say, "Are you allied with the Sabbat?"
and as soon as he says Sabbat, Benjamin's body language changes. It is revulsion that is now on it, and says, I came here to escape those motherfuckers. I'm not going back, whatever happens.
It isn't long before in the doorway you'll just see a fairly corpulent, and like he's not too tall. He's average height, maybe a little lower than average height, and a bit round. A man just appears. He's not like poof appears, but he just slowly just comes towards the door and just well, good evening. I suppose the two of us should be formally introduced. I do believe that we have potential things we could talk about. He has a smile on his face and just nods at you.
Benjamin will look at him, and he will be startled because he has realized that he can, if he keeps completely still, he can become invisible. But this is something else. So he looks at the gentleman and says, "You, where did you come from?"
I was, well, it's only First Street. It was right there. I walked here.
He looks he looks puzzled, but not Theodore's demeanor means that he is not he's less on guard than he would otherwise have been. And then he says, "Are you the one who was in my head just now?"
I'm quite sure I do not know what you're talking about. well, well, in a sense, of course, that would be normally considered quite mad to think that anyone could be in anyone else's mind. Please, I'm sorry. I do not mean to do this charade. He comes over to you and sticks out a hand. It has
And
a gloves on, but he just sticks out a hand. Pleased to meet you, Theodore Williams.
he shakes his hand somewhat nervously, but it's not nervous for Theodore. It's the nervous handshake of a guy who's been hunted and trying to hide for quite a while. And he says, Benjamin Pollux,
Hmm.
how did you do that? Who are you?
Practice, my boy, practice. Well, long story, really. No, well, I'm a little bit intrigued. You said you wanted to escape from them. Have you had, what shall we say, a past with these people?
He takes a deep breath, the kind of deep breath you take when actually he doesn't need to, but it's he hasn't been kindred for very long, so some of his human habits are still there. The kind of deep breath you take when you are angry about something that you need to calm yourself to explain. And he said, "Yes, you can put it that way." Long story short, a little more than a month ago, I was just minding my own business, living on the streets of Miami. Um, that was, if you know enough to ask those questions, then you probably know what I am, and probably are the same as well.
Yes, well, I think we can skip those
He nods.
formalities.
Yes, good. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so about a month ago, I was living on the streets of Miami when a pack, and he says the word pack as if it's like a dirty word, which is it kind of is. When a pack of those fuckers came for me, and between that time and about a week ago, I was forced to stay with them. I was forced to do things I can't even uh, things I can't even think about, and I had enough. I don't want to live like that anymore, and I'm not going back to them, whatever else happens.
Well, whatever your background is, it would seem to speak highly of yourself. That you would have a, what shall we say, moral objection to them. They are quite repulsive, but I'm getting this notion that you are not too familiar with, well, our kind, shall we say.
He shakes his head. No, I have only known my own pack. I was not allowed anywhere near. I know that there are others, and even other races, and he says the word races as if he's not quite sure that that's the right word.
Um, Clans or bloodlines. It's clans. Will just use the word clan, and you'll be fine.
He nods. Clans. Then he sort of tastes the word in his mouth as he says it. But I only know that I am something called Bruja.
Hmm. Oh, that's good. Hmm. You know, I represent a certain people. Well, a group of concerned citizens that would, what shall we say, be considered the direct enemy of these people you are run away from.
He smiles.
Well, we have certain precautions we must take, especially in these times since they are all over the city. But I would be able to provide you with a safe place with like-minded, individuals that share your hatred, shall we say,
Hmm.
and well, in exchange for your assistance in combating these things.
And when he says that the assistance is fighting these things, Benjamin's eyes and Theodore's kind of lock, and he says, "Count me in. I will never, no matter how long I exist like this, I will never forget what those bastards forced me to do, and I want to take that out of them themselves."
Hmm. I like your attitude, must say. Hmm. Um, I will, however, given your
Background.
hmm, no, what shall we say, unfortunate, well, very present history is a thing that will present me with a bit of a security risk. You see, we are somewhat secretive ourselves, as you are yourself. You did fairly well considering your upbringing to save that man's life as best you could. He seemed not too worse for wear, but I mean, I wouldn't have expected of a former member of the Sabbat to be as well proficient in not killing people you would feed from. That is commendable. But I must inquire about certain things.
He nods.
I'm quite sure that yours, what shall we say, Quite, quite true. You're speaking the truth. You are sincere when you say that you do not, well, in your entire story, but it is not my decision alone. I will have to have some words with a friend of mine, but soon I will be able to. And he looks around. I might be able to. Please, come with me. And he just gestures for you to come out of the like come with him.
And he does so. Now
Right.
now he's finally found someone who might be able to help him get back at the Sabbat, and he is not going to let that opportunity go away.
Just stay close to me, please. And you can tell. Well, you can roll, but you get like this tingling sensation that something happened or this guy did something.
Mhm.
You're not, but something. He did something, but he doesn't seem at all affected. He just said, "Well, I hope you don't mind if we're going for a little walk. You know, I do like to make sure certain things. You know, never hurts to go around a few corners more than you have to."
He nods.
And this guy, he hums a little to himself, and he's trying his best to do small talk. Um, but he doesn't seem to. He seems like fairly fairly chipper,
Mm.
considering everything. But after a little while, after quite some time, you will come to a sewage cover, or manhole cover, and he will open it and he'll just pull it off and just, please, after you.
And Benjamin will enter it and go down the stairs,
He follows you down.
the
Well,
ladder.
I'm. Have you ever heard of something called Plan Nosferatu?
I don't know if he would have, but um, intelligence, kindred lore. He's so new that I don't think
Yeah, no, probably not. Let's just say for the fun of it,
that he hasn't.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then he shakes his head. No.
Ah, well, that is my clan, and we tend to keep well, we have quite exclusive usage of the sewers. You see, um, I will not educate you too much on this, but well, we are somewhat changed by the embrace, as we call it, the transformation of a mortal to one of our kind, the kindred.
He nods.
We become quite hideous to look at. Well, some of us, of course, can do certain things to mitigate such aesthetic deficiencies as we, well, you said that you know certain things of the blood and can do certain things, and well, with practice, certain things change.
He nods. And then looks at him. You do not look, if you don't mind me saying, you do not look hideous.
He smiles, and you will see that he just turns around, and his aesthetic changes, and it is now a man wrapped in bandages and with goggles, and just quite fast transformation, I admit, but I will not show you my face. You've been through enough these very, very few nights. You've been one of us. I do not see it to make it any more worse for you. Well, not yet, anyway. And
He nods.
you're walking around some corridors and some places, and you'll just here we are. And he's going to show you into a what is essentially a it is a what looks to be a newly repaired hole or some sort of decay that's been fixed.
Mhm.
or is in the process of being fixed. But you can see that there is like some sort of gate opening, and he'll just there's a fairly safe space here. No one will find you. Feel free to use it for the moment. He pulls a bit of stuff out. There's a sign from the city and then some other stuff, and there is a hole in there. It's not that big, but it's almost impossible to see if you didn't go over and remove the stuff in front of it. And there is it seems fairly comfortable. It's underground and it's a comfortable little place to sleep. And you're just quite sure that no one will see you here. You can wait here. I will get back as soon as possible. See, I have to speak with one of my fellows. Make sure, but you may join us very soon. I hope. I believe that your insight might actually prove us a benefit for us.
He nods and then he says, "I was not. I was not. I am led to believe that there is much that I was not told, but whatever I know, I will, of course, gladly share with you."
Well, all we can do is our best. No, it's quite all right. I'm not going to cry too much about what you've been through, but if I know the Sabbath, I know that it is plenty.
Hmm. He grits his teeth and he just nods quietly.
So, you have any question? You must have some. I do have a little bit of time if you want to ask a question.
You're far away, dude. I can barely hear you.
Oh, he is this better?
Yeah.
Well, I do have some time tonight. Do you have any questions?
Um.
Anything?
He looks at he looks at him. Uh, can I assume that you people are the Camarilla then?
Ah, so you have been told a bit more than I thought.
I've I've been told, he says, that the Sword of Cain and the Camarilla are at war, and that well, now I know that I'm not going back there, and I know that exposing ourselves to the humans like we did is idiocy. Um, and I know the name Camarilla. I know nothing about what you are. All I know is that you are not them, and that is enough for me right now.
Well, short version, the Camarilla is a system that recognizes that what you and me and well, our kind is a lot more volatile than what we once were. Sure, we had our well temperaments, some of us more explosive than others, but still we were grounded. We are not grounded anymore. I'm quite sure you have felt it more than once. The beast, the hunger.
Yes, he says with a traumatized look in his eyes.
The Sabbat seem it as the end of the goal for us. We, most people I know in the Camarilla, well, we tend to want to, well, maintain as much of what we once were, or at least control our beast and not let the beast control us.
He nods eagerly.
And more so, we tend to keep, well, a certain anonymity for our kind. I find this the best way. That officially, the Sabbat does not seem any need in this. I believe this to be hypocritical, to be honest. But, well,
He nods.
long story short, We want to keep us secret and keep ourselves at a distance, and then manipulating things and having as much possible deniability among the mortals as possible. It has worked out fairly well so far.
He nods.
This little part seems to want to enslave people. I'm actually not certain on the higher echelons of them, but most of them are raving lunatics.
He nods eagerly. Yes, he says, I have seen that firsthand.
Well, I hope I can help you, but well, I am afraid you have not come to a necessarily a better place when it comes to getting away from this art. But oh well,
He looks at him. So the Sabater is also here.
quite so. Yes, we He looks at him. Just I will. Well, there is probably a lot of people who will. Well, at least want to try to educate you as soon as you are, what shall we say, cleared.
He nods.
I just need to make sure that, well, that you can enter and there is no problems, of course.
Take your time, he says. He sighs. I'm just happy to be off the streets.
Do you have any method of communication, a phone, a place that you would
Oh,
meet if you do not wish to stay here?
lol. I didn't even think of that. Well, since I didn't state that I have a phone, I probably do not have a phone. Um, he will he will look around and says, I escaped with barely the clothes on my back, and he opens his jacket and takes out a few personal mementos. And these photos, I was not allowed to keep my phone on me, and going back for it would have meant that I could not have escaped. So I do not have a telephone.
Quite all right. Quite all right. Please, um, I would advise you to stay here, sleep for the night at this place.
Hmm.
And the earliest I hope to meet you here and give you a little bit more of a briefing, shall we say.
He nods. Thank you, he says.
No trouble at all. And he will just like he will just bid farewell, and he will just you'll hear a bit of humming as he leaves. As he begins to walk away, and you'll see at some point down the hall he'll just more or less just vanish essentially.
Hmm. And he will. I don't know how close we are to dawn by this point, but assuming we're not that far away, he will like find a place to lie down and stay out of the sun, and he will sigh deeply. Finally, his things are starting to look a little bit brighter, at least.
And with that, we will come to a close with the scene. Sorry. Thank you very much, players, for playing and watchers for watching. Good night.